So this video is a little different. It's just kind of like a brief little reflection that I wanted to make on the creative cycle, and really just kind of like field notes, things that I've observed. And I did a little bit of research on the creative cycle, and I was like, whoa, not what I think. Or not what I thought, at least, and maybe it's changed. But the creative cycle is a cycle. It's an idea of the processes that a creative goes through, and when they come up with ideas, when they execute ideas, and when they operate as a creative person in the world. And I was under the impression that the creative cycle was more about that kind of abstract side of it, and obviously that is the case, but a lot of these are just kind of simple. And we talk about different parts of the cycle. When I googled it, I was like, holy fuck, I thought there was only going to be one, maybe two. I couldn't find a consistent one. There's so many different models for what a creative process looks like, and that should be an indicator that also your creative process might look a little different than mine. Big spiel. So there are different parts of the cycle. There are a few that I saw. There was observe and learn, create and improve, and that's great. I guess. I don't really know what else to say about that. There's idea, development, revision, research. There's idea, create, reflect, rest. I like that one. I like all of them, honestly. I see myself in all of them. One of the more popular ones was from Graham Wallace, and it was preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. And I was like, what does that mean? And preparation is obviously consuming sources of information, gathering ideas. Incubation is stepping back and allowing those ideas to kind of stew and going from there. And then illumination is the idea that kind of haha, this is what it is, and this is what I'm going to be doing. And then verification is doing it. And it's funny because this is the most widely held, it appeared to me in my brief examination on the internet, that is one of the largely held understandings of the creative cycle. But to me, it included only that kind of idea part. Only the part where we think and then do. And I feel like there's so much more to creation than think, do. Think, do. And so I kind of combined all of these when I was thinking about it. I was like, what do I think it is? And I think it is observe, which I liked. You look at the world, you see what's around you, you take in information, and it doesn't need to be related to what you plan to do. Just observe the world, period. As a person operating on Earth. Just be engaged with your environment meaningfully and watch. Don't be a subject. Embody and participate. That's what I say. Participate in your life. And a part of that is observation and really taking things in. And then I said, I think stage 2 would be articulate, which to me was kind of that verification or creation, that idea where we take what we've observed and we articulate it in a way that makes sense to us. And then what I wanted to do was break down that kind of articulate, because it's not that simple, right? We know, if you're watching this, you know that you don't just idea, paper, think, do. It's not just like that. It's there's a lot going on in the mind of a creator when they're doing. That doing piece is really, really impactful, and there's a lot going on in there. And because sometimes it can come, both of these can think and do can be it can be a lot of things. It could be over a long period of time. So I kind of divided do into senses of doubt and contraction, and then also faith and release. And I believe that, as I've spoken about before, that I believe that doubt is an inherent part of the creative cycle. And I think a part of that is just our active reflection while we're creating, and also just that kind of emotional connection to what you do. I think it's very natural that when we're creating something, we're what the fuck am I doing? And that is how I feel sometimes, where I'm what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? And then of course there's the moment of overcoming, right? So we have the contraction, though. Am I good enough? Is this good enough? Is this what it is? Is this going to go okay? Is this going to be what I want it to be? And then there's the overcoming with faith. And faith is associated so much with religion. I think it just means trust. So having trust in the creative process, knowing that doubt is just an inherent aspect of reflection, and going and creating anyways. So I think that is kind of the do. And then my little addition to my think do is rest. I really liked that from the idea create, reflect, rest model. I think rest is such an integral part of recuperating after creativity or after a creative session or after whatever it is. Like these creative cycles kind of happen on their own. They can either be weeks, they can be within days, they could be within minutes. We have these things where like, especially if you don't kind of stretch it out, like it's not just like day 1, we observe. Day 2, we articulate. Day 3, doubt. Like, you're not going to pencil it into your calendar. These things come up, and we might, while we're creating, be like, oh, I just saw this thing and it really inspired me, and then you incorporate that in some way. And then of course you have your own doubt on that too, and it just fucking does the same thing again and again, and as cycles do. But the point is that this happens in a way that requires rest, and it's not just this kind of like active, rest is active, but this kind of like, it's not just creative, it's not just creating something, it's not just like the steps to creating something, it's the steps of being a creative. And I think a part of that is rest, and I think a part of that is giving yourself the space to repeat the cycle, because if you don't rest, you're just going to be exhausted, and your cycle is just either going to become like incredibly doubtful because you're burnt out and tired, or you're just not going to come up with an idea because you're exhausted. So I also want to say, like, what does it mean to be a part of the creative cycle? I think it means that you're a person. I think everyone goes through this regardless of if they define themselves as creatives. I think it happens to people who are, I think it's really just the execution of an idea. Ideas are creation enough, right? Like, we have an idea, we want to bring it to action, we do those things, we doubt those things, we overcome the doubt, and then we sleep it off. And I think that can be like said about a lot of things in our lives that isn't necessarily painting or writing or making a song or cooking or dancing or whatever. I think it just means that you're human and that you're susceptible to the human condition. Bummer. I'm there too. And then that said, like, I think it's really important that we contextualize the cycle and we understand, like, this is so natural to feel. We know that, like, ideas come from observation and from a lot of places, but we know that we can do these things and we can be a part of the world, and we don't have to be searching for inspiration necessarily. We know that observation will bring us there. We know that once we have an idea, we'll be able to articulate it, we'll be able to find this thing or find a way to present this thing, and of course we'll find a way to doubt it, because that is a part of us. We're not perfect, and we remind ourselves of it all the time. And so we doubt, and we use reflection to doubt ourselves and to improve as well, but doubt isn't helping you improve, but reflection is. So yeah, we have this doubt and contraction and this faith and release, and I think a part of contextualizing kind of the creative cycle in your lives is knowing that the faith and release is always the second step. We know that doubt will come, we know that release will come as well. So being able to, like, when you feel the doubt, an integral part of overcoming it is recognizing that it's part of the cycle and that it's just going to end. It's nothing to do with you and everything to do with just this human process that we're in. And then also when we get to rest, I think it's important to contextualize this because we forget how important rest is, and that's not by mistake, that's by design, so that we work and make other people money. Rest is resistance in its own way, so make sure that you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself and take care of your community, and a part of that is actively resting and actively taking care of yourself. And I think that's kind of it, guys. I was just so surprised to see that there were so many iterations of this kind of thing that I thought was just one thing, I thought it was just like kind of cut and dry, and it's not. I don't know, I'm surprised. Nothing fucking is. But yeah, so that's it.